Hello, Paulo Leite here, record collector. You know, one of the most popular videos on this channel is Fantasyland Records, a beautiful record shop located in Buckhead, in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. And every time I go there, I pay them a visit because they have so many records and they're so good. I always get something. And when I was making the video, I also bought myself some records. And every time I make a video on a record shop, I will buy records. So it's a win-win situation. So when I was there making that video, I got myself some albums and I want to share them with you. So this is what I got. So pretty much a decent number of stuff. This was my haul, shall we say it. And starting with Indie Gibb. I'm a huge fan of disco and all things 70s, and this is a beautiful album from 1978, and I bought it for $5. I think it's a great price. And you know, people say sometimes, why do you buy records for $5 when you can order them online for $3? And you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense because I live in Europe, and whenever you're buying things online, sometimes yes, the record is cheap, but then you have to factor in the shipping and handling. So if I order an album that costs $3 or $4, I will end up paying $6, $7, $8, sometimes $10 or $14 for shipping and handling. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I still prefer to buy at record shops, and that's my position. The second album I have is a Kurtis Mayfield compilation, Kurtis Mayfield and the Impressions. This is a release from 1992. It's a 2 CD edition. It's a beautiful compilation. It contains a lot of their most known and some well-known and some lesser-known tracks. And it's funny because I have lots of albums by them, and there are also many albums that are not available on CD or are very hard to find. And this compilation helps me fill the gaps in my collection. So I'm very happy with it. Then I got The Lonely Bull. This is Herp Albert and the Tijuana Brass. This is their first album from 1962. It's a beautiful album. I was looking for this one for a long time and I got it. And again, $5. It's a great price. Then I have another compilation, also Herp Albert. And you know, I usually don't buy compilations unless they come from artists that don't have a lot released on CD, or in this case, because some songs were only released on compilations. Herp Albert has this song by Burt Bacharach. It's a beautiful song called This Guy's in Love with You. This was, I think it was never released on a studio album, and it was only made available on compilations. And there you go. Also, $5. Then I have here the Chordettes. I'm also a huge fan of those vocal groups from the 50s and the 60s. And in American music, during that time, during those years, they spanned most genres, most musical genres, and they were pretty good. And the Chordettes was one of the best of them. And again, many of their albums are not available on CD, or they are very, very hard to find. Sometimes you find them on Japanese editions that are very elusive. And this one again helps me fill the gaps, some gaps in my collection. So I had to have it. $7, not a bad price. I'm very happy with it. Same thing I would say about this compilation of Little Johnny and the Imperials. Some hits that I already have and some lesser known hits that I didn't have, also for, again, $5, a good price. I'm very happy with it. Also filling some gaps in my collection. Then The Sound of Music for $4. I have plenty of recordings of songs from the musical recorded by jazz artists. John Coltrane, My Favorite Things, Dave Brubeck. Many jazz artists recorded many of these beautiful songs. But somehow, and I have them in my collection, but somehow I never got myself to buy the music soundtrack, the movie soundtrack. And when I saw it for $4, there you go, I knew I had to have it. Now comes something that I find very, very interesting. This is an album with two movie soundtracks by Francis Lai. Francis Lai is a French film composer. He has to his credit something like over 130 movies. He had a prolific career, and actually he made the music. He's better known for the music of Love Story, that smash hit movie from I think 1970. And he also made these two movies, A Man and a Woman and Live for Life. Two beautiful soundtracks also. He worked in France, he worked in the UK, he also worked in America. And these are two great films that people should know and listen to their soundtrack. Beautiful. And you know, many of these albums here in Europe, they cost a lot of money. They have been released during the 90s, and they're pretty hard to find these days. This is an American edition, and for $6, yeah, I had to have it. I see many of these albums here for $20 or $15, so this one is a great buy. Next, I have a favorite, Tomita The Planets. I'm a huge fan of Isao Tomita. He has done a lot of great electronic music. And this album is absolutely beautiful. This is from 1976, I believe. And I have another edition of this album that, as you can see, so this was $5. And as you can see here, the two last songs, the two last movements are in separate tracks. The edition that I bought previously in Budapest a couple of years ago fused these two tracks in one single track, and I wanted to have this edition in which separates them. This is a Japanese edition, RCA Red Seal. It's a beautiful edition, and for $5 I think it's a bargain, so I had to have it. Next, George Benson, Breezing. This is also from 76, if I'm not mistaken, produced by Tommy Lee Puma. This is a beautiful album by George Benson. I think George Benson, I'm a huge fan of his work. I don't think he has a bad album. So this was, I think, before Give Me the Night. And I always wanted this one also, so $5. There you go. I rarely buy, I rarely do blind buys. It takes a lot of me to trust just a name or a cover. But I'm a huge fan of Carola King, and you know, when you know the artist, sometimes you go blindly and you buy whatever they release. And because it's Carola King and I love her, I found this one that I never heard before. This is Really Rosie. This is a children's TV special that was released, I think, in 1975, if I'm not mistaken, and features music composed by Carola King and also sung by her. And you know, it's completely different from her work as a musician, but it's in its own right, it's fascinating, and it's always great to hear her singing. So I'm very happy with this one also. And again, $5. Very happy. Then I got something that I always wanted, but I could never find it. Chemical Brothers, Hey Boy, Hey Girl. This is an EP, a single with only 3 tracks. The European edition of this has only 2 tracks. So this is the American edition, 3 tracks. And I'm also very happy. This was for $4. This was released, I think, in 1999. So 26 years ago. Where were we then? Next, something incredible. This is Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway from 1972. This is one of those albums where everything is right. There isn't a bad song here. There is nothing you can point here that is wrong. It's a gorgeous album. You know, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway were great friends, and he had, I think he had bipolar disorder and committed suicide at some point and left her devastated. And this is a beautiful, beautiful album that everybody should listen. There's beautiful songs here. I Who Have Nothing, You've Got a Friend, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. So beautiful things. Oh, and about Roberta Flack. Years ago, I had the pleasure and the honor to meet Roberta Flack's sister, Ingrid. She was one of the most beautiful, sensitive, kindest, sweetest women I've ever met. And I absolutely loved her. Sadly, she passed away, and I was very sad about that. And she was kind enough to get Roberta to sign a CD for me, and it was oh, here. So this is a compilation that Roberta gave it to me, and as you can see here, so she said to Paulo, and she signed the disc right here to Paulo. Roberta Flack, with love. So it's a beautiful gesture, and I didn't know she was Roberta Flack's sister, and I was very, very, very happy. I was flabbergasted when she gave me this. And sadly, she died years ago, and I was very sad. She left a hole not only in her family but also in my heart. And yeah, there we go. So another one, the last one that I got from Fantasyland, is the Doobie Brothers, Minute by Minute. This is a gorgeous album from 1978. It's one of their best albums. And $5, I couldn't say no. So this is it. A hard day's work at Fantasyland Records. So a bunch of albums that I love very much, and it was a great day. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I have more content coming for you. And remember, visit record shops, buy records. Music is life. Thank you very much. Wherever you are, Ingrid, I love you.